Hello, sorry I'm a little bit late. Today we are talking, sorry I got a call. Okay, so I'll give everyone a second to hop on. I'm just gonna chill for a minute while you guys are waiting. I have the song from Elf stuck in my head right now. So we're talking about love and relationships and divine love versus romantic love. We're going to focus on romantic love quite a bit. Oh, a lot of people are hopping on. Hey, Laura. Hey, Marissa. Johanna. Hey, girl. Hey. Jennifer's on. Cool. I can't see everyone's names popping up just yet, but say hi if you're here. Let me know if you're watching live. Let me know what brought you to this live stream, because this one's going to be an interesting one. They're like, love and other drugs. Hey, Rebecca. So today, I'm a little bit late on this one. We had a client call before this that went over. Ashley and I have joint clients. So we like had like a joint call with someone. It was a lot of fun. She does like intuitive paintings and malas and stuff. Hey, Marissa. So we were just talking about her gene keys, and the team was giving her insights. It was a lot of fun. We were talking about her intuitive processes and her business. It was awesome. So, hi, Marissa. Did I already say hi? Oh, I like your rainbow. That symbol's been coming up a ton for me. It's kind of crazy. So they're saying, they're like, okay, guys, let's get started on the love stuff, okay? So what's going on is a lot of people are like in these weird places in relationships, especially a lot of you guys that are having spiritual ascension symptoms and awakenings. Your gifts are opening up. You're going, who the F am I right now? So you guys are having a lot of stuff coming up around your relationships right now, because you're kind of going, well, everything's changing, right? Like, so here's what's going on for a lot of you guys. You're looking at your relationships and you're going, is this sustaining me emotionally anymore? Does this feel fulfilling? Does this feel loving? Do I feel like I'm still in a romantic place with this? If I'm not feeling romantic, is that okay? Yeah, man, like it's okay. Relationships go through different phases and different transformations, so don't judge your process. The key thing to remember with romantic relationships, they're saying, is to love yourself from within, and the answers will come out of that. Cool. So like a lot of you guys are having some romantic transformation happening. You're either just meeting people that feel like a romantic fit for you for the first time, and they're like, yay. They've all got like little flags and sparklers. They're like, ah. Some of you guys are having breakdowns of relationships, or you're in weird places with relationships. What can be kind of weird for people at different times, especially in spiritual communities, is wondering about soulmates, wondering about life purpose. If you're feeling weird and lost on your life purpose, chances are that affects your relationships, because it all comes back to you knowing and loving yourself. Not a lot of your relationships are going to feel as fulfilling as they will, or as they can, if you are, as if you're like anchored in yourself. You need to be anchored in yourself and understand, like they're saying, like that's what grounding is. I trust myself. I love myself. I feel good where I am. That being said, we want to talk about, they're like, this kind of rolls into the purpose of today. So we're going to come back and do some more live streams pretty continuously. Ashley and I have some live streams coming. I posted a poll in the group, and I want you guys to go read through and vote, or post in the comments and say, I just care about this one thing right now, or here's why I care about this. So go and vote like for anything that, any options that you are in there, like see in there, it's for our live stream topics. We're going to go on intuition a lot. What I find is a lot of the time, when I post a poll or I ask a question in the group and I'm like, hey, what are you looking for most? What do you want us to live on? Usually the most votes come in for the thing that I was already thinking we should do. So it's just like another confirmation. So what I think is really pertinent today, and what they're talking about, is we're going to continue to also do live streams on the future states of different things that are coming into existence. So we did a live stream a while back that was a huge hit, and it was the future of companies. And it was it's just a lot of people love that one. So they want to do a couple of different topics, right? Future of education, we did that one. That was huge. That's still in the group, so go and find that in here. They did, right now they're doing the future of love and relationships, romantic love. They're like, don't worry, we will talk to you about what's coming in the future and how you're playing a part in that. And more topics to come. The future of healthcare, the future of health and wellness industries, the future of entrepreneurship, the future of the spiritual ascension. They're like, a lot of you guys are worried about making it into the 5th dimension. They're like, don't worry about that shit. Don't worry about it. So they're like, so here's the deal with love in relationships. What's happening for a lot of spiritual people is this sense of a lack of spiritual fulfillment, a feeling of constantly seeking and needing to find outside of themselves. This stuff is going to continue to plague you and pressure you to grow and to perform and to evolve. So it's not a bad thing. Human beings have this need for inner evolution, and what comes first is inner revolution, right? Like this feeling of like, oh my God, I gotta do this, right? I gotta expand into this, that type of stuff. So what they're saying is it's really key to realize with relationships that they are mirrors for what's going on in your internal world. They're saying divine aspects of self. They're like saying it over and over. They're like, you're in relationship infinitely with divine aspects of yourself. If you can see yourself in all others, you will thrive. No matter what relationship it is that you're looking at, relationship to the earth, relationship to the stars, relationship to the planets, relationship to your boyfriend, relationship to your kids, to your parents. A lot of you guys have stuff that is coming up in the process of your spiritual awakenings. If you are alive, you have had a spiritual awakening. They're like, that's how you know. And we did actually, our intro episode of the podcast that I'm launching, we talked about how to know if you're having a spiritual awakening, and they were like, well, we'll give you typical signs, but chances are if you're alive, you've had a spiritual awakening. So here's the deal with relationships of the future. They're not going to be dramatically different from the present, only in that it's going to be less about love being a drug and being something that you try to get from others. It's going to be more and more communal, so more and more open relationship. Now, we don't mean that there won't be deep loyalty and commitment in marriages and in love relationships. What you're seeing in your society are trends toward love, oneness, and openness. You are seeing the acceptance of gay marriage. You are seeing the acceptance of sexuality being fluid and being self-defined. You are seeing the fact that people in the younger generations are less likely, especially in urban populated areas, to get married younger. They are getting married older and older and older. They got student loans. They have a detachment from having to be in a set relationship all the time. They have a detachment from the institution of marriage, from the marriage license. They have a detachment from needing to start a family immediately. They want more self-exploration, which is why you actually go to college. Like, you're not actually going only for the career aspects. A lot of people, that's the practical thing that your societies tell you. A lot of you guys go and make that investment and that time and energy and monetary investment for self-exploration. That's what college actually really is for. That's what your parents understand, but they don't talk about. Some of your parents talk about it. And a lot of you know that that's what you get most out of college, right? Or vocational schools, stuff like that. So they're saying, so now you're seeing these trends. People are waiting to have families until later. People are waiting to get married till later. A lot of people are not getting married very young, and there are more and more divorces happening. There are splits happening. Now, here's the deal. The divorce rate has gone up, not because there are more splits happening, right? Not because love is being put on the back burner. In the past, it was not kosher for you to get divorces. There was a lot of systemic societal belief systems telling you, you stay in it for the kids, you stay in it long term, you're in it for the long haul. There was a lot of stigma attached to divorce or separation. It made you kind of an outcast in generations prior, right? So it doesn't mean that those people didn't have the same feelings that a lot of people who are going through splits and separations have had. They just stayed in the marriage despite them, and a lot of them were fucking miserable. And some of you grew up with parents like that. Okay, you grew up in those situations. Doesn't mean it was the wrong choice, doesn't mean it was the wrong thing. We're all learning all the time. These are just experiences. How you choose to feel about them is up to you. Okay, so that said, you are seeing trends in an increase in splits, increase in people waiting and putting off marriage till later, increases in people choosing to put off having children or choosing to have less children, waiting to have children until they're older, and they feel more financially stable, more set in their careers. What's really happening is you're seeing an emphasis on going within and knowing the self. You're seeing an emphasis on people wanting to have more emotional and mental and spiritual grounding, even though it's not articulated that way. That is, we listen to all of you. We know your thoughts and your beliefs and your emotions. We know what's going on under the surface that a lot of people can't even put words to. I feel like I need ground beneath my feet before I get in a long-term thing and make that type of commitment before I have children. There is a lot of belief in your society that it is not financially stable to get married and then divorced later, that it is not financially smart to create joint checking accounts. It's not a good financial, a lot of, especially younger generations, are racked with financial debt if they went to college. So, or they are in poverty, right? There's a lot of poverty going on because of credit card companies, credit card systems. So there's a lot of financial stuff going on that's preventing you guys from committing to marriages as well. Now, money's never the thing. We're telling you point blank, money's never the issue. What's going on is money is mirroring a desire, okay, to know the self better. And it's giving you excuses or reasons to hold off. So a lot of people will blame the financial stuff, they'll blame the career stuff. They'll say, well, I'm not ready yet because that stuff, I got to get those ducks in order. No, if you were in a place where you felt like, man, I feel solid, I'm secure in myself, I know myself, I love myself, I trust life, and you met a partner that you were madly in love with, you'd get married even despite your debt, right? Like, you'd be cool with that. You'd be like, yeah, I'm ready to have kids. What's going on is not bad. We're not saying there's any negativity, right? So they're not saying there's anything wrong with this. They're saying, so what you're just seeing is a projection. You're seeing collective consciousness projections. And a lot of you guys are afraid because of the high divorce rates, afraid because of finances to get married, to make commitments, to do that stuff. What it is truly is a fear of, I don't know myself fully. I don't trust myself fully. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know if this is right yet. That's the ticket. That's the thing. So a lot of you guys are feeling lost in purpose. Of course that's going to come into a relationship, right? Of course that's going to be reflected back to you in who you meet out in the world. A lot of people are feeling this stuff. A lot of people are feeling the need to have more experiences, because what happens in experiences, you get to know yourself better. Like, you get to know yourself better. So there's a lot of man hating going on with women who are like, men don't commit, all that type of crap. And so they're like, or like there's a lot of hating going on from older generations to younger generations who are waiting longer, who are seeing higher divorce rates, who are taking their time, and they're dating around a lot more. They're jumping in and out of relationships, or they're seeing a couple different people at the same time and they're not committed to any one thing. They're like, this is the truth, okay? Love is a free thing. It is everything. It is all you are. So it doesn't mean that you can't have mutual agreement and mutual commitment. But what's starting to happen is that you're seeing how there's lots of people who have universal loving tendencies who want to have more openness. They want to have more experiences. They want to experience different people. They want to have different experiences of their faith, of their life, and all of it all is helping them get to know themselves better. So what you're going to start to see is not necessarily less commitment. There are many people in polygamous, okay, this is going to test a lot of people. This has been testing me too. You're going to see a lot of people, and you are behind the scenes. It's created kind of it's still kind of taboo. More polygamous marriages, open relationships where they're deeply committed to one person, but they understand that commitment spans the tests of time and faith. It is not about being only with that person. They have beautiful friendships, beautiful relationships, and sometimes even sexual relationships with other beings or deep emotional bonds with other beings. What happens for a lot of you guys in relationships is you lose your emotional relationships and your emotional depths and friendships with friends of the opposite sex. Okay? Or if you're in the same sex, you kind of like lose that with your friends of the same sex because of your commitment emotionally to that relationship. You think, I'm not allowed to have emotional depth with anyone else. I'm not allowed to have freedom. Like you think you could put rules and expectations and boxes around the relationships. So they're saying what you're going to see more and more and more communal living, more communities coming together, and they're talking like, they're like centuries. This is going to take place over generations, okay? Like trickle down. But you're starting to see it now. More open, fluid sexuality, more experimentation with different forms of relationship, more people who are preaching that love is love is love. And it doesn't matter what someone looks like or what they look like racially, who they are sexually, who they are emotionally. You're going to see more self-exploration through relationship. You will also begin to see a detachment from needing relationship to define the self. A detachment from needing romantic relationship to define the self. You're going to see more and more people who are getting into relationships, especially if they've been doing the freaking inner work, like the spiritual inner work, who are starting to realize, wow, when I love and trust myself and I have a beautiful relationship with myself, then I'm open to having an amazing relationship, or 2 or 3 over the course of my life, over the course of my adulthood with others. Wow, when I have a strong foundation within myself and I've done my own inner stuff and I'm cool with me, then I'm a better parent. Then I'm ready to emotionally parent. And I'm more trusting of the universe, more trusting of everyone. So who is getting majorly triggered by this discussion? Tell me in the comments if you're getting triggered. Tell me if this is soothing to you. If you're, I'd love to hear like your experiences. Do you know people who are in open relationships? Do you know people who are more communal in their style of living and raising kids? Do you know people who are, have you had these experiences of like, you know, being in a relationship and feeling like you were losing pieces of yourself because you're codependent in it? They're saying a lot of that's going to start to melt away, the codependency, because we're all going to be a little more anchored in ourselves. Now they're saying now this takes, it's a paradigm shift. It's massive. It's huge. In your media and in your society, look at all the movies, look at the books. It's all about one-to-one romance. It's all about that type of shit. Like it's still kind of taboo, even in the fictional book world, like the fictional story world, to have people in polygamous open relationships. And they're like, and pay attention to how you react when you read those stories or you find out about people having affairs. They're like, affairs are what happen, okay? Cheating and affairs are what happen when that person is not loving and grounded and trusting in themselves and communicating, hey, this is the relationship I actually want. I want openness. That's an issue with taboos in your society. And they're saying it's also an ego issue. Now, however, we don't want to make it wrong, but there could be a lot that resonates more deeply with you guys, right? If you were open to having more conversations about wanting to explore, having different types of kinships, if you were willing to give yourself the emotional expression or the emotional depths in multiple relationships, doesn't have to mean that they're multiple romantic relationships. It could be different friendships, different types of partnerships. You could have different romantic relationships, but it could be, you know, I have these friends who give me this emotional stability, and then I also have my husband, right? They're saying, so a lot of people cut off those other relationships, and you're going to see less and less of that because more and more people are moving towards universal love, which brings us to the next wave that's going to start to come, is more and more people feeling the universal love. And so those people are feeling less and less inclined to be defined by a romantic relationship, meaning they are more open to having different types of partnerships. They're also very aware of their sovereignty outside of the partnerships because they're so universally loving. You're going to see a massive upswing in romance being felt and expressed through craft, through the work of the hands and the work of the heart. And they've been doing this thing lately where they show me, like, they point to here and they do this line up to here and they show me the heart and the heart spiral, right? Like going within. So you're going to see a lot of more people experiencing personal, deep, emotional expansion and fulfillment coming from the work of the hands being more of the work of the heart, which of course is completely intertwined to the feeling of universal love, self-faith, like faith in the universe, connection. That's a relationship. That's a relationship with the world and the universe you're having. So you're going to start to feel more of that. You're also going to start to see, and they're talking about, like, some people are stepping into it now. Some people, you know, it's going to take centuries for this to immerse. They're like thousands of years, but like to really immerse, where people are, everyone, thousands of years, is highly aware of collective consciousness and universal love. Right now, to a lot of you guys, it feels like a theory. It feels like it's not an everyday experience. You're still very singular in your focus, which is why you're very singular in your relationships. You want to put boxes around them. You want to have rules. You feel insecure in them. You feel like there's responsibilities and things like that. They need definition. When you guys start to, they're talking about pod mind, which just came up in my client thing. So they're talking about, like, in the future, thousands of years, you guys are going to return to a collective consciousness where you're very aware of how your thoughts affect the whole. You're very aware consciously, like it's almost like there was never a time when there was complete separation. You're going to be very aware of the universal love vibration. Doesn't mean you won't still have a romantic expression of that relationship or of that feeling with particular partners. They're like multiple partners, but it's going to be very much about trusting and discerning and selecting thoughts and selecting collective thoughts that are only those of love and higher mind. The body is going to be released from form completely. Oh, they're saying way back when this actually was the case, but before Atlantis, there was actually collective consciousness, right? Because it's always been, but there was no form attached to it. In Atlantis, they were very aware of their collective mind, their collective unity in the mind, right? In a vibration. So sacrificial thoughts were not a thing. Guilt and shame were not things. They understood how those thoughts affected the whole. They were unloving vibrational thoughts. So you will see this start to become way out in the future. They're talking like 10,000 years out. This will begin to become anew, where the body is actually released and it's a consciousness form. But you will start to see it where we're more aware of collective consciousness. Many of you who are having awakenings are experiencing this now. You're experiencing telepathy. You're noticing how you have emotional swings and you're like, where did that come from? Why am I feeling triggered today? Why do I feel weird today? That's collective. That's not just you. Pay attention to your stuff and clean it up as you're doing it. Choose loving thoughts. However, notice how it's also affecting relationships you're in. Okay? So they're saying, so now we come back to the present. In the present, what you can do, okay, is to love yourself where you're at any given moment. That will positively impact your relationships. Choose to see through the lens of love however you can. Don't like push away your negative emotions. Don't push away fears. Don't push away anger. Don't push it away. See it, feel it, experience it, but then release and say, now I choose love. I've given myself the wallowing. I've given myself the grief. giving myself the experience of anger. Okay, I don't like feeling this way. What do I want to choose instead? So they're like little tiny shifts. It will impact your relationships, and it will impact your relationships a lot to start to remove rules and expectations. Now you can start small. Okay, you can start small. You can start to realize that love is an energy. It's everything and everyone. It's infinite. So there is no lack of equilibrium. There's only equality. So there's no, you can start to look at things like, am I putting my partner on a pedestal? Am I putting my relationship above my own happiness? Why can't it be an and both situation? Why can't I be happy and also be happy in the relationship? What would I like to do to support myself more? What would I like to do that would make me feel fun and enlivened and happy outside of my romantic encounters, my romantic partnerships? How can I be loving and caring towards my partner even when there are hard things happening, even if we're splitting up, even if we're having disagreements, even if we're leaving the form of this relationship, right? So they're saying when separation happens, you can always choose love in the separation and see that the love is still there. It just is not the romantic form of it anymore. It's universal. It's never going to go away. You're never not having love for other people. Like you guys, like they're like, you guys, you are love. How could you not have love for other people? It's not a feeling. It's a thing. It's an energy. It's a vibrational quality, right? So they're saying, so let love be the leader, right? So let your loving thoughts, your loving mind be the leader. This is going to evolve your relationships. And the key thing is to love yourself just as much as you love others, okay? Love yourself just as much as you freaking love those kids. Love yourself just as much as you love your job. Love yourself just as much as you love your partner, right? You need to be loving with yourself, be nurturing yourself, giving yourself what you need. And they're like, we know this seems counterintuitive to the universal love thing because universal love is about the all, right? It's about all for one and one for all. It's about universality and seeing yourself in another. Now, can you see love in another if you're not being loving towards yourself? No, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, you gotta love you in order to experience that love and that depth with others. The more you love yourself, the better your relationships are gonna freaking be. The more open you are towards yourself, having all these open and amazing emotional, deep experiences, they're like, give yourself new experiences, you guys. Dive into new things. Go take a paint and sip class, even if you fucking suck at painting. Like, they're like, go and do some gardening, even if you're like, I have a black thumb, this is never gonna work. Like, I have a brown thumb or whatever. Like, they're like, give yourself new nurturing things. Try new things. Do things that you love. Start exploring. Go travel somewhere new. Do a solo trip. Don't be afraid. You don't need a partner. It's enjoyable with a partner that you love to do those things, and those things will deepen a relationship, right? To do them together, to explore together. But we want you to also understand that you are not someone's other half. You are both equal and worthy in whole parts of one whole. So they're like, when you're away from that person, you're still you. When you're with them, you're still you. When you're away from them, even after you split up, you're still together. Because love is universal. The relationship never ends. It's just the form of it from the human perspective changes. So this is going to help a lot of you set up solid foundations for your children in the future. Your love and openness and acceptance with yourself is going to increase your love and openness and acceptance with the world and with your children, and build more stable foundations for them to enter relationships later in life within themselves first, meaning they're grounded in themselves, they trust themselves, they love themselves, they're more loving and caring humans, they take better care of the planet, they take better care of people. Like, when they have kids, they understand the and both that is there. They don't carry them, they care for them, right? And they're not talking about physically, they're talking about, like, they don't take full responsibility for all of their kids' bullshit and rob them of opportunities to learn, which is what happens with helicopter parents a lot. But they do understand the importance of, they're saying, they're giving me two extremes. They're giving me like the cry it out, and then they're giving me like the attachment parenting or co-sleep, and they're saying it's going to be like a meet in the middle. Like, they're going cry it out, fucking awful for a kid's emotional development. And then they're just going like this. That's all we're gonna say. They were like, you wanna break the spirit? Tell the kid they're alone when they're a baby, that no one's coming to be with them. I'm like, oh fuck. So then there's also attachment parenting and helicopter parents who are like all over the kids and they got them overscheduled. My parents were kind of like that. They have them sleeping in bed with them. They're like carrying them around and they're with them all the time. They're like, there's no wrong way. We don't want you to judge. We want you to realize that kid still is going to make their own choices and how they feel about themselves. However, you are an integral part of their family system, and their own self-love is going to come from your modeling, okay? You are their first examples. So we want you to model self-love by showing them how to love themselves fully. Start talking to them about love earlier. Start talking to them about loving all equally earlier. Start talking to them about loving people of different faiths, and talk to them about what love really is. A lot of you guys think love is romantic love. That's not it. Love is a vibration. It is what you are. It's not just having romance is just an expression of it. It's just one way. You can have love for your craft, love for yourself, love for a banana. A lot of you guys say, I love food. They're like, yeah, love it all. Those are amazing experiences. Give them amazing experiences. Give them openness. Doesn't mean you need to carry them around with you all the time. Doesn't mean you fucked your kids up if you did cry it out with them, okay? Let it go and start to understand that you can still have an and both with them. You got to trust them. Now, these kids are going to start to present with more sustained spiritual awakening symptoms. Some of them will not have an awakening. They will be woke. They're like, or as woke as you can be in the human world. So they're going to come in and they're going to be what you would call crystal, rainbow, indigo kids. More crystal and rainbow coming in. More tuned into community. More nurturing, more loving, more gravitating towards vocational paths rather than traditional math science schools. Gardening, working with the earth, wanting to be outside, painting, creativity, crafts, working with their hands, building with blocks, writing, expressive things. Many of them will emerge as little leaders in the fact of they see service as leadership, and they don't feel it's as sacrificial as many of you do. They enjoy it. It gives them life. There is no depletion from it for many of them until they learn that. So you're going to see these tendencies naturally. Many young children have them already. Many of you had them when you were younger, but then you unlearned those things, or you learned new things and covered up those natural tendencies. So you're going to see more of that. And now the beauty in this is these types of kids are more anchored in that oneness and universal vibration. Now, they have to choose to hold that. You can't hold it for them. Other people can't hold it for them. They have to continually self-select it, right? How you can help is holding it yourself, and then allowing them to be sustained. Now, the next generation is different from ours. Yeah, like you're saying. However, we are also part of that equation. If we're sitting there telling them it's wrong, guess what happens? If we're sitting there focusing on hate and racism and violence and, these people coming in, taking my jobs is what they're saying, or we're focusing on lack of equality, guess what those kids are going to start to learn? Okay? You're putting them in front of a TV that shows that romantic love is what they need to aspire to. That's all they're going to aspire to, and they're going to feel incomplete without it, like many of you guys feel. You guys have no idea how many freaking readings I get where people are like, where's my soulmate? I'm not judging it, but I'm just like, shit, you're your soulmate. Like you are your one true love. You, like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people really, like, it's hard. And I've been there too. Like we get really attached to romantic relationships. So they're saying these kids are going to be a little more grounded, but you need to allow them that, because in the future, they are part of this huge shift that's coming for romance, for love relationships, for the and both in the communal aspect of relationships, where there's less isolation and there's more community giving and more community care of children, where there's more deep connection in friend groups, where there's like just universal bonding. It's a vibrational thing, but it also needs to be continuously modeled, because what ends up happening is children watch. and we are collective consciousness. So if we are not holding those high intentions, that affects them. Now they're more tuned in to higher universal love, but they also still are going to continue to watch you. They're going to watch you. Okay? You're their role models. You're their people. They're going to watch you. They're going to watch their friends when they get older. They watch TV. They're going to see romantic relationships, right? They're going to see warfare. They're going to see fights over race. They're going to see protests. So you need to continuously help them, not necessarily enforce, you don't need to enforce your beliefs. You need to ask them questions and ask them, well, what do you think of that? Does that feel right to you? Without putting your hands on it. They're saying it's less about telling them, here's what's right and here's what's wrong. It's more about modeling it and then allowing them to have their own experiences with it. Because some of them are going to like try different things and then they're going to go, oh shit, that didn't feel good. I didn't like how that went. And you can help them most by helping them reflect. Well, how do you feel about that? Did that feel good for you? Oh yeah, I know you went through that breakup. What happened? Like, how do you feel right now? Like, how are you, what are you making that mean? Like, is there something that you're attaching to that? How are you supporting yourself throughout this? So helping your kids, like through asking them questions and getting them to look within and ask themselves, what do I think is right? So that they're not always looking to mom and dad for answers, so that they're not always looking to their friends for answers. So they're not always looking to TV. Now they're like, but remember, you've gotta be really mindful about what you let your kids watch on TV, because that imprints on them. They're like that Disney movies shit. It's teaching a lot about what women are supposed to aspire to, isn't it? Like they're kind of like, So they're saying same thing in teaching systems. So this is just as much about the trickle-down effect for kids as it is about the romance. So they're like, we gave you the future of romance, we gave you the future of relationships. Now remember that you're co-creating this. Hold the highest and best intentions for yourselves. Hold the highest and best intentions for your relationships that you're in. Hold the highest and best intentions for your soulmate lovers, and remember first that you're your number one fan. You are your one true love. The more you act like that, the more likely that soulmate lover is gonna come in like on time, and you'll be a higher vibrational match. Doesn't mean they weren't coming anyways, but you're gonna be in a better place in that relationship emotionally. And they're going, ding, I gotta get on a call in a couple of minutes too. Does anyone have any questions before I hop off? I saw someone ask about the companies of the future. It is, go in the video section or search for it in the search bar, in the search area in the group, and you'll find it. Oh, I'm so glad, Natalie. Yeah, love is not a feeling, it's a thing. You can have, they're saying you can have emotional experiences of love, like peace, bliss. What you think of as love tends to be, oh, I love this thing. They're like, it's an energy. It is what everything is. It's the universal energy. So it's a thing, not a feeling, not a being. It is, they're saying when you feel love, a lot of you for a long time are going to say, I feel love. I feel that universal loving feeling. I say that all the time because I forget what they say, but they're like, so let's refine, what's the feeling? Bliss, peace, what does it feel like? And then I'm going, oh, okay. It feels like peace. It feels like bliss. It feels like comfort. It feels like calm. It feels like joy. You know, they're like, calm's not a feeling. It feels like ecstasy. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, it feels like something, right? Okay. How do we help our children cope when they have another parent who's the helicopter parent who does not allow them autonomy whatsoever? Like they were saying, help that child continuously reflect within. What do you think? What do you think is right? What do you think is best? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about what so-and-so said or what they told you that was right or wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why? They're like, ask it very constructively, with a lot of openness, like help them reflect within. Because they're like, listen, they're gonna have people all your life telling you who the fuck you are and what you have to believe and what you have to think. You guys can disagree with me, I don't care. But they're like, but what happens is for that kid, they need to learn to go within. So there's always gonna be media telling them, here's the deal. They're like, there's always gonna be a teacher telling them, here's what's right and here's what's wrong. They're gonna have friends that are trying to dictate their decisions too. A lot of kids, when you get later in life, right, your friends, they're like, there's trends in friend groups. Trends and groups of friends is what they're saying. So they're like, so it's always about reflecting within. Well, just because my friend is gonna go to that bar, do I have to go to that bar? Or just because my friend says that all men are dogs, do I need to believe? What do I think about that? So they like start to have them reflecting within, not to challenge the other parent, but to immerse themselves in their own knowing, their own faith, their own trust. You know what I mean? Okay, so you saw this on TV, this event happened, your dad gave you a spiel about it, like, you know what I mean? They're like, so what do you think though? You know what I mean? And let them know it's not wrong for them to think for themselves, because with helicopter parenting, what happens is the child does not learn how to think for themselves. They kind of feel bulldozed, gaslighted, and instead of learning to go within, they trust the parent over themselves. It's not wrong for a parent to trust a child and a child to trust a parent. It's not wrong for you to have trusting relationships, but you need to trust you first or you never trust anyone else, okay? Does that kind of make sense? So they're saying get that child to reflect within. Get that child to learn how to speak for themselves when it's time and say, Dad, you know, I appreciate that you're telling me I need to do football. However, I really want to do acting, and I know you love me unconditionally, so I really appreciate that I'm going to get to explore that, you know? Like they're like, if I had said this earlier in my life would have been very different. So they're saying, you know, like let them know that they're unconditionally supported by you both. You can help the child by talking to the other parent and saying, I think that our son, daughter, knowing that we love them unconditionally is most important here. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what time it is, you guys. Whoop. Oh, I gotta hop off. I got a client call in 1 minute. So I will talk to you guys later. Keep commenting. If you come back and watch the replay, let me know what you think. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Go and vote in the poll section. I posted a poll. Ashley and I are going to do some lives, and I want to know what you're most interested in. What are you curious about? If there's something that's not in there, post it in the comments of that post, and let me know. Okay? Bye, guys.